Oar Resources has been reviewing historical exploration data from its South Australian tenure. To talk us through the initial results from the Western Eyre Peninsula project is the company's Managing Director, Paul Stephen. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how you going?
Very well, thank you. So, Paul, what's the company's prospectivity analysis identified at Western Eyre Peninsula?
So this was really interesting. In joining the company, it's known for its graphite resource, which is only a very small portion of the overall tenure. And we commissioned a review of the prospectivity of the graphite initially using geophysics and came up with some really good new targeting there to improve that project. But in doing that work, we stumbled across a large volume of historical data that had actually been compiled by De Beers, the big diamond company, back in the 70s and 80s when they were searching for kimberlite pipes and diamonds on this same tenure. What we discovered was that the South Australian government had very thankfully preserved about 80% of that drilling. So all up, there was around 60 odd thousand metres of drilling done into our project. And around 80% of that is still available and well preserved in the South Australian core library. So what we've been doing is reviewing that core and that historical work for minerals that, we don't make any secret, our focus is on critical minerals, on lithiums, on rare earths. And back in the 70s and 80s, those minerals were not of any value at all. So really interestingly, the De Beers geologists have actually logged and have got records of carbonatites and kimberlites and alkaline intrusives that they've made notes of it as they've drilled through it, but not assayed or tested it because there was no value at that time. And this makes for a really interesting project that we already own. So we're excited to be doing the work.
And the company notes this is an underexplored part of South Australia. Why is that, and what makes the project an attractive mining proposition now?
Look, I think there's two reasons for that. The first is it's known to be under quite a lot of cover. So there's no real ability to walk up and find an outcropping occurrence that you can go and test. You've got to drill through cover, and that's really expensive. It's really stuff that the big companies tend to be better at doing that than the smaller explorers. The second factor is that the Oakdale graphite deposit was discovered about 15 years ago, and the company focused entirely on the graphite prospectivity and really ignored all the rest of the tenements. So the tenement has been in the same hands for only over 20 years, but the focus was on the graphite, not on the potential of the broader area. And, I think that's something that, it's a case of fresh eyes coming in and having a look at something and, seeing the prospectivity.
So how significant is it then finding this potential for rare earths and critical minerals?
We don't know yet. We know that it's really interesting. This is an area that has never had any pegmatites. Pegmatites are the host for lithium deposits. It's never had any of them found because of the cover. And we've identified, or more to the point, the De Beers geologists 40 years ago identified pegmatites in their drilling. So, of course, we're now going through the process of getting that core out of the core library, getting it cut, because a lot of it's completely intact, and getting it to the lab and seeing what they actually may have accidentally drilled through in their search for diamonds. And, we're certainly seeing the early stages of anomalism. And there's a lot of unanswered questions at this point in time. But look, our target or our next steps will be to prioritise drilling these targets. We've got a lot of targets that have had some drilling done into them. Of course, that drilling was not targeting the zones that we want to target. So anything that it's gone through has gone through accidentally in the search for diamonds. But there's going to be a lot of early leads in there, and we need to prioritise them and get our own drill rigs out there chasing something, and then that could be very, very exciting.
So how much work is planned before you can get to drilling?
I think we'll be getting close to drill targeting within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, it is a huge volume of data to go through. We've finished digitising it all because, of course, 40 years ago it was all handwritten notes. So they're now in digital form. We've done our 3D modelling, and our technical team is now working through that with the aim of saying, well, this is priority number 1, 2, and 3, and that gives us something to go and plan drilling around.
Oar Resources Managing Director Paul Stephen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks very much.